Welcome back in. Hey, Zaki, Mama G, co-creator, like I always say, along with the prime creator of Fiercely Fulfilled Feminine, where I help twin flames to heal sexual trauma, reclaim their power, and experience true fulfillment through what I call the sacred sexuality reclamation method. Now, the other day, I had shared something about the sexual shutdown, especially after twin flames' first sexual encounter because these twin flames have a history of sexual trauma. Well, I did share a few techniques that might help to alleviate that situation to allow for deeper connection, well, in sacred preparation. However, I feel obliged to share a specific process. Yes, it does involve the inner child. It does involve reconnecting to the body at any that I use that is probably one of the most powerful techniques or processes that I use with my clients that stimulates the greatest amount of spontaneous purging and transmutation. And so it's called the Body Reconnect. I'm going to share that with you now, but let me back up very quickly and explain to you why inner child work is such a valuable tool. Here's the deal. Your sexual trauma likely occurred, and it may have occurred when you were a child, maybe as a teen, maybe you experienced sexual assault as an adult. I guarantee you, if you experienced sexual assault as an adult, you likely have some childhood trauma. Most people have childhood trauma. So this applies to you as well. So when there's a defining moment in your life where something happened that it was so painful, so confusing, so hurtful that it literally broke you. And it did what one of my clients coined. It created something known as arrested development, which means essentially you became frozen in time, even though you physically grew and you continued in this physical incarnation, you you have been operating from this 5-year-old. I say 5-year-old, it could be 6-year-old, 7-year-old, from this child when that defining moment happened. So the reactions, the interactions, the way that you interact with life, the way you think, what you believe, all stems from this inner child. So it only makes sense that if you want to be able to disrupt any repeating patterns that keep looping, inner child work is the way to do it. And the way to access that inner child is to reconnect to the body and to the emotions that have become trapped in the body, connected to this defining moment, and likely many defining moments. Because it could be inner child, inner teen, it could be parallel lives, it could be in the womb. There are so many different ways that this can show up. So, like I said, I do something called the Body Reconnect. And so I take you from arrested development to active transfiguration. Transfiguration is positive transformation. Love the word. So I'm going to explain this, how it works, and then you're more than welcome to use it and see how it works for you. You don't need me present to do it. With that being said, however, my most powerful, it's not a technique, it's not a process, the most powerful aspect of my coaching is presence. Okay? Because being witnessed by somebody else and being vulnerable and expressing what needs to be expressed from that inner child is a profound part of the healing. It gives you an opportunity to show up with somebody else as a way to prepare you to be vulnerable enough to do that with others and eventually with your divine counterpart, or to be able, if you're in physical reunion, to be able to do that at a deeper level. So this is powerful stuff. Okay, so I call it the Body Reconnect. And what I do is I typically have you begin with some kind of breathing exercise or some kind of grounding exercise so that I can bring you into your body, into the parasympathetic nervous system. Because when that happens, the breathing slows, thoughts slow down, you become present, which means that you're not needlessly worrying about the past and you're not fearfully thinking about the future. And when that happens and you're present, you feel safe. And when you feel safe, you relax, your body relaxes, and your body is able to more readily and easily let go of any of those trapped emotions that are ready to be purged and transmuted. So the grounding first. So if you decide to do this later, make sure that if you're in a chair, that the soles of your feet are touching the ground. If you're sitting cross-legged on the floor, that's fine. Grounding is very, very important. Maybe you tap your body, maybe you shake it out, and that's a way you prepare yourself as well. Maybe you take a few deep belly breaths. Great way to bring you into your parasympathetic nervous system. And then I invite you to close your eyes gently if you're comfortable, and then to tap in to whatever part of your body is calling your attention the most, because it could be more than one part. What part of your body is calling your attention the most? And it's likely an uncomfortable sensation. So we're looking at bodily sensations. For example, tightness, heaviness, coldness, heat, tingling sensations, pressure, a headache, a tightened jaw, tightness in the chest, kind of a heaviness in the abdomen, lower back, whatever it is. Okay, I'm going to guide you to focus on that discomfort. And then once you've identified that, I ask you if there's an emotion that's been attached to that discomfort. And then I have you just sit with it. And the most common emotions, I have them listed here, are anger, fear, pain, joy, passion, love, shame, and guilt. Anything else is usually connected to one of those. And I also include numbness. Completely valid. You might not feel anything, and that is okay. There's no right or wrong way to do this. So see if you can come up with one of those emotions. Yeah, fear was there. And then just sit with it. Keep the eyes closed. Keep breathing. If you start to feel like you're getting into your head, come out of your head. Just take a few more breaths. Consciously relax the body and really focus in on that area of discomfort. Focus in on the emotion. Feel it. Allow yourself to feel it. Keep breathing into the feeling. Don't talk. Don't try to come up with a story. Stay away from the narrative. Stay away from the story. Just focus on the sensation. Focus on the feeling. You see, what happens is that with trauma, it's easy for one to disassociate from the body and end up all in the head and to create a narrative and a story. So we're going to avoid that. We're going into the body. The body has its wisdom. And if you can't feel anything right away, stay with it. I would say at least 15 minutes. Give yourself that. That's self-care, self-love, devotion to oneself. And if you're not able to tap in, that's okay. It's okay. So then what I typically ask my clients is, okay, when was the last time you felt that emotion? And right away, they will share typically a recent trigger that they've experienced. And then I ask, okay, when was the first time you experienced that emotion? And they will typically go to the inner child and that defining moment. It could have been, for example, the first time that you were sexually molested. It could have been the first time that you were just beat up so badly that you didn't know if you were going to survive. In fact, it's that defining moment that just broke you, that did what I said is that arrested development. That's a phrase that was coined again by one of my clients. Arrested development. You stopped growing and evolving spiritually. You stopped emotionally growing. You have been growing physically. But until that trauma is healed and processed properly, you will continue to react and you will continue to loop in patterns based on that child at that moment. Okay, so the next step is I ask you to reparent that inner child. So you as the adult right now, you get to decide how it's going to unfold. You get to decide that you can keep that inner child safe. So let's say this defining moment, mine was at 7. It wasn't the first time I was sexually abused. However, it was the worst. I'm going to share it very quickly. I've shared this on another video before. The defining moment for me was not the first time I was sexually abused. It was the first time that I woke up with such extreme terror one night, and I went into my parents' bed. And mind you, it's 9 years old at the time, maybe 7, well, maybe I was 7 or 8, but I wasn't a little toddler. So I crawled in between them. A lot of stress, financial stress in my family's life. So my dad, who was 6'1", big guy, big feet, I think it was a 12, 13. What is she doing in the bed? He took that foot. All I can remember is the bottom of that foot and just kicked me out of the bed so hard, and I landed thump on the hardwood floor. That broke me. That broke me. Like my life wasn't the same after that. So those are the defining moments where we want to be able to reparent that inner child. So this is what you can do at this point. Once you've identified that defining moment and the very first time that you've experienced that emotion, is you can either become that inner child, or I find that a lot of clients, and myself included, I like to bring that inner child and sit that inner child on my lap. And me as the adult version ask the inner child, okay, what did it feel like to blah, blah, blah when that happened? And then you listen to what your inner child has to say, and they get a chance to express that. And then you ask your inner child, okay, well, what did you really need? What did you need then that you didn't get? And you listen. And your inner child says, I didn't need that because, so they might first say, I was hurt. It caused me so much hurt and so much pain and so much confusion, that somebody that I thought loved me would do that to me. And what I really needed, was to be kept safe, from harm, to be protected, to be supported, to be loved in the way that I know that we're supposed to be loved. I needed to be nurtured. I needed to be hugged, never mind molested. I needed to be taught the right way to connect and the right way to love and the right way to be loved. I needed to feel safe. Okay? And then I typically guide my clients to say to the inner child, well, guess what? I'm all grown up now. And I'm not going anywhere. You're with me now. I'm never leaving you again. I'm always going to be here, and you will always be safe. And then you just take and hug them. And then after that, you just make it a point to always bring your inner child in. When you're having a good time, when you're doing fun things, bring that inner child out. Go, if you walk by a swing set, and jump on that swing and just start swinging. Have fun. Bring that inner child out. And make sure that when you are triggered potentially again in the future, have that inner child with you and process it together and remind your inner child, it's all good to go. This is just letting go of these emotions. This is good stuff. We're growing together. We're together. We got this. We're safe. We're just healing. We're healing and evolving. Active transfiguration. Okay, so there it is, the Body Reconnect. I highly suggest, especially if you don't really feel like you're in touch with your emotions and your feelings, and you feel like you become somewhat disassociated from your body and you're always psychoanalyzing. First, don't shame yourself. Yet I suggest that you do this on a daily. Make it a daily practice, self-devotional, self-care, self-love, at least 15 minutes every day. Even better, if you can get somebody to show up with you and do it with you, even better. Even better. You see, because the power of being witnessed by somebody else and being vulnerable prepares you to do the same with your divine counterpart. That's part of the sacred preparation. Now, if you are somebody who really wants to tap into your feelings, emotions, you want to be able to get those purged, and you'd like to be able to reconnect to your body so that you can reconnect with others, so that you can tap into more of your sacred sexuality and your sexual energy, and you want to get that accelerated and laser focused, intuitively guided, you can show up with me. I'm offering 4 more. I'm looking for 4 more coaching clients. And then I max out at 4 more, and that's it. No more. Yet, offering you an opportunity to work with me one-on-one with the Reclaim Your Sacred Sexuality coaching program. So I'm going to drop that link in the description. Also, if you have yet to book a call, that's an option. That link will be in the description, and you receive a free informational video when you book a call. Number 3 is I have an upcoming mini master course, As Divinely Guided, to address the inner masculine, who is there to help to protect you, keep you safe, support you, guide you, keep you from harm, known as, what is it? Support Your Sacred Sexuality, Healing the Inner Masculine. So be on the lookout for that. I don't quite have it ready yet it's coming. And then finally, I offer a one-off session known as an active assistant session. I will drop the link in the description for that as well. There it is. 2026. Make this your year. The Body Reconnect. Give it a try. Let me know what you think. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And like I said, try it out and let me know what you think. Of course, if you'd like to show up with me and try it with me, we can do that as well. Have a beautiful one. Peace, peace, peace. Thank you, thank you, thank you.